Welcome to our channel Top Reddit Story. Make sure to subscribe our channel and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our hardest to reply your comment. It's 12:01 AM on the 31st of December. The text simulation ending in 23h59 is scrolling in the sky. What's your plan? Try some fun, Drew Gus. Never done anything except weed. Not sure if that'd be the best or worst time to try acid. I feel like this is a situation where you wanna try something lighter first. Like salvia. See how that 15-minute trip goes as a trial run first. If the dread of your possible impending doom sends you out on a bad trip, at least you know it's gonna be short. I think I'd just wait it out. Try to enjoy the last 24 hours of the simulation. Never know. I may have a body in the real world that I'll wake up in. I never thought of waking up after the simulation. That's a nice thought. Have a drink. Or 10. I'd have Sky Control spawn some clouds real quick to obscure the message, then have Sentience Maintenance do a search and replace on all simulated human memories to purge any recollection of the message. Then find out which of the simulation team is responsible and prepare a disciplinary. It happens all the time. The power goes to the admins' heads and they have to stage this sort of god-level prank, burning bushes, making deities appear in toast. Anyway, the simulation ends the 29th of July. 1200 GMT. I'd probably be skeptical and assume someone somehow did it to duck with people. But I'd spend the day with my wife. Just in case. No crazy bucket list stuff. Just spend time together. I would also spend the last day with your wife. That's enough time to fly to England. And tell her I still love her. Face to face. This is interesting though. Will the simulation shut down in waves? Or is it whatever your time zone is, so for some people it'll just be like 7 AM on the 1st or something? Honestly. I'd probably cry for a bit. Then I'd wake up my wife. Go get both of my girls and put them in bed with us and stay there holding them and loving on them for as long as possible. They mean the world to me. And knowing that it would all be coming to an end would make me extremely depressed. I would do Drew Gus. You two are the complete opposite of each other and I love that. Probably go to the park with my 1-year-old and have a blast playing with him, then we would go home and eat all the pizza rolls possible. What will be will be. So I'll just do what makes me happiest. I'd be eating and drinking a lot, then finding someone to have sex with. Afterwards, I'd go back to eating and drinking until the clock ticks over. I do that daily, but it rarely works out that way. I wouldn't wager my last night on it. Hope the person running the simulation decides to buy the DLC expansion last minute. Thank duck and be happy it's over. Agreed. This body is clearly ducking broken. New simulation or NPLS. Why the duck am I looking outside at 12:01 AM, bruh, I'm asleep. Edit. Holy shit, that's a lot of upvotes. Probably the screaming and crying from all your neighbors who are having nervous breakdowns about the Sky message. Is this what everyone thought would happen in 2012? I don't know if you're actually curious, but as I recall, the top contenders for what was supposed to happen were giant meteor and magnetic poles flipping, geomagnetic reversal. Spend my last 14 hours in prison. Would jump in my old rusty BMW. Drive to my lovely GF. Tell her that I really love her. Even if she might be part of the simulation, and that I won't ever forget the wonderful moments we had together. I know. Nobody gives a shit about this comment and Reddit hates it when someone claims to be in a relationship with a person you love, but duck it. Go inside with my family. Create a giant end of the world playlist for when it gets closer. And just try to enjoy it the best I can. Rob as many banks as possible and buy as many chicken nuggets as possible. Eat as many as I can until I die or slip into a coma. Considering I'm not religious, assume that this is some sort ad campaign being tested by cell phone service companies and start making a plan to make my own company if that proves to be true. One that doesn't allow any ads. I saw this once in Sao I'm driving up to see my girlfriend and we're exchanging addresses or whatever the real world uses if we remember it. Fly to New Zealand to see if the simulation ends. I mean, aside from an orgy and all the food I could possibly want, I'd probably get high and select a book I've always wanted to read, but hadn't gotten around to. Eat all the pizza and drink tons of beer. I have celiac. But it is the end of the world. Who cares if I sheet my pants? Also, play with a load of puppies. Go to bed and wait for it to happen. IDK probably continuing enjoying my birthday and pretending like everything is fine lol. Have a great last day on earth with my boyfriend. Reminiscing about our time together. Telling him how much the time we had together meant to me and that I love him and don't regret a second. Go to my neighbor's stable and start giving their horses BJS. I always want to but I don't want to be arrested, but if this happened I wouldn't have to care. Turn off the world's Wi-Fi and play the biggest dinosaur Google game ever. I'm the troll with a 3 kilowatt projector projecting a 24-hour timer into the sky. Buy stocks. Everyone will be panicking and in the early hours the market will be ducked. If the world does end, no problem. I won't be there to worry. If it doesn't end, the market will go back up and I'll make good dosh. Realistically, if I saw that in the skies, I'd Google it. I'd probably find people confirming it's the end of the world and people denying it. Depending on the sources and all, I'd assume the world is ending for real. I think. Or at least that there's a good chance it's ending for real. I'd call my mom and my brother. Maybe I'd text some of my friends. Then I'd stay home with my dogs. I'd text my duck buddies and see if they'd be down to come over to have sex. But honestly I don't think I'd make the effort to go to them. I'd really just spend time with my dogs. And eating and drinking stuff I like. I guess it's kinda what I do with my life now. I can do that. 1. Go to Area 51. 2. Find the main cheat code on the computers hidden in the area. 3. Stop the text from scrolling in the sky and stop the simulation from ending. 4. Kill all diseases and viruses and prevent the Black Death from happening. Well, I would be devastated not because the fact that nothing is real, but because there are things I didn't get to do yet. Promises I wouldn't be able to keep. I'd probably spend all day on Discord. Just spending every last moment with the people I care about. As sad as that is. It doesn't say what it's evaluating. Could be a final test. Now having it confirmed I could be watched and recorded at all times. I prepare myself for the simulation exit and return all trays and seat backs to the upright position. Or whatever that is for a simulation. I definitely don't go gather up all my hot neighbors for a final orgy. That would be stupid and immature. I want to say something cool, but honestly I'd probably just spend the last day of my life paralyzed with existential dread and freaking out. Probably find a way to get up to the comics on font in the sky and change it to Times New Roman, then wait peacefully and die content. Listen for the sound of about 100 light chow drones. Companies go pretty far to grab attention these days. It involves Olivia Wilde or Emma Watson. Whichever I can find first. My man. Unplug the alarm clock, you uncultured fools. Neo my way out of this bullshit with the help of Elon Musk and Joe Rogan. I would say thank God this shitty life is gonna be over and I'll just wink out of existence and go back to sleep. Go outside and help all the people being victimized by scum who'd give up the facade of morality sympathy when it was no longer necessary to fake it. Have sex with my husband. Then have the whole family come over, open invite for close friends, for some really good food. Put on a classic comedy. Blow some coke and drink some beers. Basically, live it up and be surrounded by my loved ones. Find the girl I love and tell her. Weep with relief and tell all of my loved ones a code phrase we can use to meet up if we exist outside the simulation. Pending I'm in New York when this happens. I would calculate the fall time after jumping off the Empire State Building and time my jump to where I am mere centimeters from the ground when the timer hits 0. Immediately drive to my mom's house and spend the day with her. Yeah. Spend the time with my family. And eat as many chimichanga style frozen burritos as I could stuff into my guts. Try to start World War LLL and take all the shit I wanted in my life. Must go to GF and spend the remaining time together. Probably just watching the sky as we used to do. I'd spend the day with my pets. Give them lots of treats. And play lots of games. They wouldn't know it's their last day. But why not make it a great one? Guys, stop freaking out. You'll act like we didn't know we are just a part of a Sims 5 demo at E3. Try all the alcohols I wanted. But no, I shouldn't. Have sex for the last 2 or 5 times with my husband. Let my daughter be as loud and obnoxious as she wants without scolding or repercussions. Finally. Finish the day with an all-out glutton fest of delicious food. I'm gonna go get laid. Get drunk. Eat some great food. Play some fun games. What's the dumbest thing you've gotten in trouble for in school? For correcting a teacher how my last name was pronounced. Aaron. As someone named Aaron, this haunts me. My high school didn't allow ripped jeans at all. I was in my dance class. We weren't dancing that day when I was bending down to sit on the floor and my jeans ripped at my knee. I got sent to the administrator's office for it. Had to stop you before your sexy knee became too big of a distraction for the other students. I reported someone for attacking me with a hockey stick in the gym. I got in trouble for provoking him by telling him to stop stalking me. Zero tolerance school. Student 1. Stabs student 2. Student 2 runs and tells an adult like they were taught to do. School suspends both for fighting. It's so sad that the victims get punished in schools nowadays. Was once told if you say another word you will be sent to the principal's office. Do you understand? I replied yes, and was immediately sent to the principal's office. Insisting on my own name. My name is more commonly a nickname. Think Kate instead of Catherine. But it is my legal name. Second grade teacher had a strict no nicknames policy. She tried calling me Catherine for the first 2 days. And I kept insisting. Loudly. That I was Kate. Got sent out into the hall. Then sent to the principal. Who confirmed for the teacher that my name on my records actually was Kate. She then called in my parents to basically lecture them for giving the wrong name for the records. But they brought my original birth certificate. Which shut her up. 2 weeks later I was back in the principal's office for teaching myself cursive off the poster she put up on the wall. Joke's on her. The principal was the trombone player in my dad's jazz band. He started letting me come by to visit his office at lunch whenever I wanted. Literally nothing. I was once given detention for no reason, and when I asked what I did wrong no one had an answer. I find myself wanting to ask what happened. But nothing did. In 7th grade. I yelled the word shrimp really loud right as the entire cafeteria went quiet. Apparently the teachers thought I had been stabbed. Good times. I was reading a book in the back of the room. After finishing an exam. And my homework. And turning it all into the teacher. He told me that school is not a place for reading books. Got a detention. I got a detention for being late to class because I was finishing a final in another class. Had a note and everything. The teacher hated me. Was out to get me all year. She finally had me. The class I was taking a final in had a sub that day. Who no one could track down. Conveniently. The teacher also said I didn't have a note. Conveniently. So the principal said he had to go with her and give me an in-school suspension for a day. Mind you, it was finals week. On my last week of my senior year of high school. So it was all half days. So on that day I show up. The detention teacher shows up. It's my track coach. What are you doing here? I explain the story. The principal shows up shortly after to check and make sure everyone is here. My track coach walks over to me after he leaves, hands me a piece of paper and says bring this to another teacher in this room. On the note it says sentence served. Walked out and went to a class that was having a party. In my private middle school we all had cubbies in our homeroom to keep books and such. I never saw the need and kept everything in my backpack all the time instead. Eventually I started renting out my cubby to another student in exchange for one lunch token per week. They would keep their overflowing personal belongings in there and I would get double lunch once per week. My homeroom teacher eventually shut it down and gave me a demerit for misuse of cubby. I once got in trouble for correcting the teacher. She read a fact from our book, but my encyclopedia said she was wrong. I brought it in and showed it to her and she gave me detention. I got sent to the principal once for not saying good morning back to a teacher. Well, someone thinks highly of themselves. Teachers, especially bad ones, and their power trips. Every time. In the 9th grade, I was asked by my French teacher to shut the window because it was too cold. I shut it, but it didn't want to fully latch. So after a couple of attempts I shoved it down harder and it clicked, but made a loud enough noise that it disturbed the class. I got detention. Getting punched in the arm and chest by a kid a year younger than me. Then walking briskly to the admin's office because the teacher wasn't around and getting detention for getting out of line. It escalated from there to me calling some teachers idiots for giving me detention, and resulted in a 500-word essay on respect and attention. Remember kids, if you are dealing with a bully, don't start a fight. Tell an adult. I'm running a 99% average in this one college class. Some dude with a 50% attendance record copies my work, and I get dragged in for plagiarism. Suck my gonads. Low life and professor. I got a book confiscated in 4th grade because I was too young for it. My parents had to call the school to get the teacher to give it back, and she advised that she wouldn't have had to confiscate the book if I'd just read something appropriate for my age level. My dad responded by sending me to school with Dracula. She didn't take that one, probably to avoid another phone call. Edit, the book was a kid's version of Midsummer Night's Dream. In 7th grade, I got detention for not speaking because a teacher thought we were making fun of him with our eyes. Insecure people shouldn't teach middle schoolers. One person at my lunch table wouldn't stop talking when they were supposed to be quiet at the end of lunch, and then the whole table including me got in trouble because of him. Collective punishment is literally a breach of the Geneva Conventions, as in a full-on ducking war crime. If you can't treat prisoners of war that way, why can we do that to ducking school children? Edit. Yes, I know that Geneva Conventions don't apply to school children. I'm not an idiot. In 7th grade science we were doing an experiment using tuning forks. But we were only using the tuning forks as weights for something. That's public school for you. My teacher came over and gave my group our tuning fork, and I hid it on the side of my desk to make it make the sound. Note, this is in fact the purpose of a tuning fork. My teacher made me leave class and then yelled at me in the hallway about how it was disrespectful for me to hit the tuning fork because I could have broken it and the school didn't have money to buy new ones. TLDR, I got in trouble for using a tuning fork for its intended purpose. One of my friends, that's the key word for this, dropped their phone leaving class, so I pick it up with the intention of giving it back to him before I can get his attention. Our teacher stops me with the all sudden firm hand on the shoulder. He swears I was about to steal it and sends me down to the vice principal's office. I'm giving my side of the story and the VP wants to bring down my friend to talk to him, but he got taken home early. What happens to me? VP goes with his gut and gives me a week of detention. 2 ducking hours a day after school. When I was in grade 4, this girl Nicole kept hitting me with her bandana during class. So I waited till she swung it at me again and grabbed it. Of course that's when the teacher looked over and sees me stealing her bandana. I got sent out of class, and when she came to talk to me in the hallway wouldn't let me tell her what actually happened. Still irks me 18 years later. Having a friend. I had to stay back after class and she told me she was intimidated by how good of a friendship I had with my best friend. Considering I was such a rich, her words, she couldn't imagine someone like me having a friend. What? A teacher was intimidated by a child having a friend? I'm so confused. Detention for walking from one classroom to another. Literally directly across the hall from each other. Without putting my jacket on. Wasn't even from either of the teachers. It was from a third teacher who happened to be standing in the hallway at the time. Why did you have to wear a jacket inside? And why would they force you to wear one if you didn't want to anyway? It was a fancy pants school. Uniform was a suit jacket. Dress shirt tie. And dress pants. We could take our jackets off inside classrooms and the cafeteria. But we're supposed to wear them in any other area of the school. In middle school, we had a bunch of bullies that pretty much harassed anyone who looked like an idiot, that is, me. They called themselves the Four Horsemen. Anyway, my parents and I had complained to the administration about the constant embarrassment. And pointed out that a lot of the harassment was happening during lunch. Where our assigned seats put me with 2 of them on either side of me. And 3 of them directly across from me, yes. They had problems with the name. Anyway. The brilliant administrative solution was to put a stool behind me and sit an administrator on it who was in his 70s. He sat with his back to us and often snoozed. One of the kids loved punching me as hard as he could with an extended knuckle or with one of those big hiking clips in between his fingers. He tagged me really hard in the arm once. And it hurt like hell. So, I picked up my trapper keeper and slammed it down over his head. Bending it into a U shape. The guy turned bright red. But nothing else happened. Because that was the exact moment the admin had decided to wake up and turn around. Got in trouble for having a condom in a little bag that also contained tampons etc, which was in my school bag. One of the girls, since I only opened the bag in the girls' bathroom, must have told a teacher for some reason. Teacher said I was a slut. I replied, well, if I'm a slut then isn't it a good thing to have a condom? Detention for talking back. I farted super loud in an all-male PE class. I was sitting Indian style with my sweet little 13-year-old as firmly pressed against a wooden gymnasium floor. This made for an abundantly loud blast of ass laughter which resulted in the teacher being interrupted and me getting sent to the dean for a detention. Sat next to the class clown in the 8th grade. Dude was hilarious by 14-year-old standards. So I laughed a lot. Whenever he got in trouble. I got in trouble with him because I was encouraging bad behavior by laughing. I never got after school detention before 8th grade. That year I got multiple. Fun times. I remember another kid and I were laughing at the quote, "Lady, you're scaring us" for some reason before class. Then, someone wouldn't shut up multiple times. So she raised her voice and told the kid to shut up. The kid from before class looks at me and drops, "Lady, you're scaring us again," and we both lost our shit. Definitely got in trouble for that one. I was homeschooled and my older brother let me tag along to the park down the street from our house so he could play basketball with some of his friends. A teacher comes out and starts yelling at me for not being at some activity for the school next door. My brother and his friend step in saying how she's wrong and how I don't even go to the school. She tries to give 4 high schoolers and her elementary schooler detention for a middle school that none of us attended. In 6th grade someone called me a les and I called them one back. They went and told the teacher I'd called them a les and I got sent to the office. Had a note sent home to my parents who weren't quite as angry due to the fact that both myself and the other person involved were both guys. We were just at the age where any insult concerning one's sexuality was considered a sick burn. I got detention for telling the art teacher two girls were throwing pencils at each other's faces. They were fine. I had to eat lunch in her room for a week. I remember a substitute teacher sent me to the principal for tattling onto kids that I had to work on a group project with in 6th grade. They weren't doing any of the work with me because I was the smart one of the group. Their words. It pissed me off that they were just trying to flatter me into doing the whole thing by myself, so I went and told a substitute since our actual teacher was out that day. I never complained to a teacher again about anything and learned that group projects suck. For saying the word crap during a math activity. 7th grade in the 90s. The teacher was in her late 30s and thought the word crap was cursing. So she sent me to the principal's office. I had never been sent to the principal's office and was scared shitless. Turned out the principal thought the teacher was ridiculous and sent me back to class with a gigantic eye roll. I'm a teacher now. The kids at my school shout duck and the N-gom in the hallways all the time. Times sure have changed. I never liked cupcakes. So I lied that I was allergic to them when it was another kid's birthday. They made me eat the damn thing. Wearing a top that showed my shoulders. Giving my friend the rest of my chips during lunch. What reason did they give? The teacher monitoring the lunch hall just shouted toward me. Called me over and had a go at me. Gave me detention. No real reason given. It wasn't because of allergies. The friend was already eating chips. The teacher was just having a bad day, I guess. When I was in 5th or 6th grade, I wrote an article for the school paper and the teacher accused me of plagiarism. Which was not true. My mom defended me. I didn't even know one could plagiarize. I was just a voracious reader and I guess ended up being a good writer. Now I write for a living. Screw you, teacher. There was a guy in my school who had created an anonymous hit list of people he planned on shooting when he came to school. My name was number 1 on that list. Making the administrators think that I somehow was the one who came up with it. Almost got expelled and almost got murdered. Cool. My little sister was in 2nd grade. She jumped in a puddle of water. During recess. I got detention for not handing in my homework the 2nd day at a new school. So my mom goes in and talks to the teacher. Well, she forgot to sign the detention slip. I got another detention for not notifying my parents and having them sign the first detention slip. Didn't matter that she talked to my mom about it. Edit. Spelling.